Jai Hind everyone, myself Dr. Vandana Sharma from Ajay Kumar Garg Engineering College. The subject which I am taking, subject is Engineering Physics, code is KS101T. The topic which I am discussing, that topic is electromagnetic field theory. And we have discussed about the Maxwell equations in this electromagnetic field theory. We have discussed about the displacement current, and on the basis of that we have modified Ampere's law. After that, Maxwell equations, we have discussed about those equations, their physical significance, their integral and differential form, and after that we have derived equation of continuity from our fourth Maxwell equation, and then we have discussed the propagation of electromagnetic wave in free space or in vacuum. So today the topic which I am going to discuss is, the name of topic is transverse nature of electromagnetic wave in free space. Means as we are discussing about electromagnetic pulse or electromagnetic radiations, so there will be an electric field vector, there will be a magnetic field vector, and there will be a direction of propagation. So what we are going to do here, we are going to prove here that electric field vector in that electromagnetic pulse, that is perpendicular to direction of propagation. Then we will prove that magnetic field vector, that magnetic field is perpendicular to direction of propagation. And lastly, we will prove that electric field and magnetic field both are perpendicular to each other. So that will be the transverse nature. So mathematically, how you are going to do that, I am going to explain here. So as you know, what are these? These are Maxwell equations in free space. You know what are your general Maxwell equations? General Maxwell equations are: your first Maxwell equation, del dot E is rho upon epsilon naught. Second Maxwell equation, del dot H is equal to 0. Your third Maxwell equation, curl of E is equal to minus mu naught del H upon del T, right? And your fourth Maxwell equation is curl of H equals to J plus epsilon naught del E by del T, right? These are your four Maxwell equations, and as we have discussed in our last lecture, we have derived electromagnetic wave equations in free space or in vacuum. So at that point I have discussed there that in free space, since there are no free charge carriers, so this rho, that volume charge density which is equal to charge over volume, that will be 0. So this particular part will give you 0 in vacuum or in free space, that we have already discussed. And this conduction current density, this is also 0 in vacuum or in free space. It means those four equations which are mentioned over here, those four equations are the Maxwell equations in free space, right? So you are very much familiar with these four equations. Now after this, you know what are these two equations? What is your equation number 5? As you can see here, this equation number 5, that is a second order partial differential equation. Equation number 6 is again a second order partial differential equation. And as I have told you that mathematically, if you want to describe wave nature, then the wave nature can be described with the help of a second order partial differential equation. So as you can see here, your equation number 5 and 6, and how you are getting those equations, that we have derived in our last lecture. Just by taking the curl of third and fourth Maxwell equations, you have obtained these two equations which are known as plane electromagnetic wave equations in free space. This equation number 5, that is in terms of E, and equation number 6, that is in terms of H, and these are second order partial differential equations. That is the reason these equations are known as wave equations, right? Now since equation number 5, that is a second order partial differential equation, if you will solve it, you will get the value of electric field. And equation number 6, if you will solve that equation, you will get the value of H. Means after solving 5, you will get the solution of that equation, and after solving 6, you will get the solution of that equation, right? Now straightway I am writing the solution of equation number 5 and 6. but how you are getting that solution? So in order to understand that, I am giving you an example of a simple second order partial differential equation. So with the help of that, you can understand that why I will write the solution of 5 and 6 in a certain manner. So suppose you have a second order partial differential equation, and let the equation is del square y upon del x square plus 9y is equal to 0. In mathematics, you will solve these partial differential equations. This is a simple second order partial differential equation. If you want to solve this equation, then the general solution of, in order to find the general solution of this equation, you will write this equation like this, where this capital D, that capital D is this operator del by del x, right? So you can write this one as d square plus 9 into y equal to 0. Now if you want to solve it, if you want to find the general solution of this, then the roots of this particular equation, the roots are like this. Roots will be plus minus 3i, because if you will see it, d square will be minus 9, so roots will be plus minus 3i. If these are the roots, plus minus 3i are the roots, then the solution of this equation in general form means the value of y, that will be equal to c1 e raised to power 3ix plus c2 e raised to power minus 3ix. This is the method to write the solution of the second order partial differential equation. Now what I am trying to explain here, if you will carefully observe this particular term, what is this? E raised to power 3ix means it will be cos 3x plus I sin 3x, means you will get a term containing cosine and you will get a term containing that sine function. If you will write this this particular term e raised to power minus 3ix, again you will get cos 3x minus I sin 3x, means you are get c1 and c2, these are constant, and after solving these two you will get the terms containing cos 3x and the terms containing sin 3x, and since c1 and c2 are constant, so if you will further solve it, you will get the solution will be like this: a sin 3x plus b cos 3x, right? Where a and b, these are the constants in terms of c1 and c2. What is the meaning of that? c1 will remain as it is, it will be cos 3x plus I sin 3x. This term will be c2 into cos 3x minus I sin 3x. If you will combine the terms containing cos 3x, that will be c1 plus c2. And I am replacing that c1 plus c2 with this b, and the second term will be minus I c1 minus 3I c1 sin 3x, and again you will get a term containing sin 3x here. So if you will combine those terms, then the constant terms, they are replaced by a capital A, so the solution will be like this. So what is the meaning of all this? The meaning is, if you are having this type of partial differential equation, then the solution of this equation, that will be like this, means we are having a sine and cosine function here, means we are getting oscillating behavior, means we are getting wave nature there, since this is representing wave nature. So this is a simple partial differential equation in one dimension. But if you are seeing this equation number 5 as well as equation number 6, then you can see here that these equations, they are the equations in 3 dimension. You know this del square is Laplacian operator, and it is having all the 3 components: del square upon del x square plus del square upon del y square plus del square upon del z square. So this is also a second order partial differential equation, but the only difference is that this equation is in one dimension, whereas equation number 5 and 6, these two equations are in 3 dimension. So this is easy to solve a one dimensional equation as compared to a 3 dimensional equation. But since these are wave equations, so the solution of these equations, that will be like this. You will get the terms e raised to power iota, like these terms you are going to get in the solution. So I am generalizing the solution of 5 and 6. So whatever I am going to write here, you need not to derive that. You have to remember that the solution of this type of second order partial differential equations, that will be in this particular form. In mathematics, we have the complete derivation for all this, but in here in electromagnetic field theory, Just to understand that how you are getting the oscillating behavior, I am straightway writing the solution of 5 and 6. So, but what is the basic concept behind? This is the basic concept, right? Since you are getting wave nature, so how you are getting that wave nature? Just by simplifying this second order partial differential equation. So now I am going to write that. So the solution of equation number 5 and 6. For solution for 5, solution will be like this. E is equal to, solution of 5 is, E is E naught into e raised to power I k dot r minus omega t. Now let me explain what the meaning of each and every term. This E naught, that represents the amplitude of electric field here, and next one is this exponential factor. Because of this exponential factor, e raised to power I, because this iota is there, so if you will solve it, you will get the terms containing cosine and sine. So e raised to power I k dot r minus omega t. Here this k is the propagation vector, r is the position vector, omega is the angular frequency of that electric field, right? So solution of 5 is of this particular type. Similarly, if you will write the solution of equation number 6, you will get a similar type of solution. Means solution of 6 will be h equals to h naught, where h naught is the amplitude of electric field vector, e raised to power I k dot r minus omega t. So 8 is the solution of equation number 6. So what you are getting? You have these two electromagnetic wave equations in free space. Solution of these two equations, that will be like equation number 7 and 8. So now if you have all this, then using these two solutions, we are going to derive our desired result, that we are going to prove that K and E, angle between them is 90, angle between H and K is 90, as well as angle between E and H is also 90. So what we are going to do now? R is a position vector, so we are going to write it in component form. So we are going to write each and every term in component form. So R, that is xi cap plus yj cap plus zk cap. Then next one, k is the propagation vector. It is having the components along x-axis, y-axis as well as the z-axis. So in component form, I am writing it as kxi cap plus kyj cap plus kz k cap, where I cap, j cap and k cap, these are the unit vectors which are giving us direction. So if this is k and that one is r, then what will be k dot r? So if you will simplify it, you know that I dot I will be 1, I dot j will be 0 and I dot k will be 0. Only I dot I will survive, j dot j will survive and k dot k will survive. So next one is, we are writing the components of amplitude of electric field vector. So E naught is the amplitude, so its components are E naught x along x-axis, so E naught xi cap, E naught y along y-axis, so E naught y j cap, and E naught z k cap, that is a component of amplitude along z-axis, right? So the next one is what I am taking. I am taking first Maxwell equation in free space. You know what is first Maxwell equation in free space? That is your del dot E equals to 0. So what is del? You know del is a vector differential operator. So you know what is the value of del? Del is basically I cap del upon del x plus j cap del upon del y plus k cap del upon del z. This is your vector differential operator, which we have mentioned in our first lecture when we will discuss about when we have discussed about electromagnetic field theory. So you know the value of del. So now I am going to write that del in component form and E as well as E in component form. Your del is this. This one is your vector differential operator. Dot E. You know what is the value of E. Your E from equation number 7 is E naught e raised to power I k dot r minus omega t. So if this is the value of E, so instead of E naught, we are going to write its components. So the components of E naught, as you can see here, E naught xi cap plus E naught yj cap plus E naught z k cap into e raised to power I k dot r minus omega t. E raised to power I k dot r, you know what is the value of k dot r. We have substituted it here, minus omega t. Now further, now see here, this is this is I cap. So when you will take the dot product, then I dot I will be 1, means this particular term will survive, I dot I will survive, j dot j will survive and k dot k will survive, and the rest of the terms meaning I dot j or I dot k will be 0, j dot I or j dot k will be 0, k dot I or k dot j will be 0. You know the reason why I am saying that, because you know that dot product is a dot b is ab cos theta. So since I, j, k, all these are perpendicular to each other and cos 90 is 0. So only I dot I is going to survive, j dot j is going to survive, and k dot k is going to survive. So what is the next step? So when you will take the dot product, now see, I dot I will be 1 and this E naught x. This is the amplitude of electric field vector, and this amplitude is, give me 1 minute. So what you are doing here, this I dot I will be 1 and then this del upon del x is applicable over, over this E naught x into this exponential term, because this exponential term is with every term here. So this partial differential operator, it will be applicable over this. So when you will apply this differential operator over this exponential, then you know what is the derivative of an exponential term? It will be exponential. But since you are differentiating with respect to x, so you have to differentiate it with respect to x, you will get Ix. Means overall you will get I kx E naught x into exponential term. So after that, if you will take j dot j, then j dot j will be 1, E naught y will remain constant, and this derivative will applicable over this exponential. And if it will be applicable over this exponential, you will get I ky. So I ky E naught y into exponential. Similarly, third term will be plus I kz E naught z into exponential. I hope you are getting my point at how you are taking the derivative, how you are solving it. So after simplifying, you are getting here, the first term is E naught x constant and differentiation, partial derivative of this term with respect to x, partial derivative of this term with respect to y, partial derivative of third term with respect to z. Now you can see here, if you will take the partial derivative of this, what you are going to get? You are going to get the exponential and I kx. In this, if you will take the derivative, what you will get? You will get I ky into this E naught y exponential as it is. And if you will take the derivative, then you will get I kz E naught z into exponential. So what you are getting in the next step? You are getting this I iota, that is a common term. You are getting that term. You are getting I into kx E naught x plus ky E naught y plus kz E naught z. What is this I? This is iota. This is root minus 1 into exponential. And you know, this particular term in the bracket, you know, k is kxi cap plus kyj cap plus kzk cap. This is the value of your propagation vector, right? And you also know what is the amplitude of electric field vector in component form. It is E naught xi cap plus E naught yj cap plus E naught zk cap. So if you will take the dot product of these two, what will be k dot E naught? That will be kx E naught x plus ky E naught y plus kz E naught z. So what I am trying to say here, the term in the bracket which you can see, that term is basically the dot product of k and E naught. So what will be this? This will be your, this term in the bracket, that will be k dot E naught, right? And exponential term, the complete term can be written as k dot r minus omega t. Now you know what is this? What is this entire term? This entire term is basically capital E. So del dot E is now I k dot E. And you know del dot E in free space is basically 0. And if del dot E is 0, it means I k dot E is also 0. Now this iota, that can never be 0. It means the term in the bracket, in order to get overall product 0, if I is not 0, then we have only one possibility left, and the possibility is k dot E should be 0, right? So we have this k dot E as k E cos theta, that is a dot product. So neither this k nor E 0. So you have only one possibility left, and the possibility is cos theta should be 0. So if cos theta is 0, it means the angle between K and E. So the angle between K and E, that should be 90 degree. Only then you can get this total product Ik dot E0. So what is the conclusion from here? The conclusion is the electric field vector and that direction of propagation both are perpendicular to each other. The angle between K and E is 90 degree. So that is our first conclusion. So how you have derived it? We have taken our first Maxwell equation, which is your del dot E equals to 0, and in that equation you have substituted the value of del in component form, you have substituted the value of E in component form, and then you have simplified, and after simplification you are getting del dot E is 0 and del dot E is Ik dot E, and that is 0. So from there you are getting the angle between K and E is 90 degree. So our first step is done. Now for the second step, in order to prove that the angle between H and K is 90, you have to take your second Maxwell equation. So I am starting from second Maxwell equation, and finally we will draw the conclusion that that angle between H and K is also 90 degree. So for this, we are taking our second Maxwell equation in free space. You know this del dot H is 0, and irrespective of any medium, this divergence of H is always 0. So what I am doing here, I am taking this divergence of H. So del dot H, so divergence, you know, that is vector differential operator. It is having this value I cap del upon del x plus j cap del upon del y plus k cap del upon del z. And H in component form, you know what is the value of H? H is basically H naught into e raised to power I k dot r minus omega t. And we have already discussed that this amplitude of electric field vector, that can be written in component form as H naught x I cap. This is the amplitude, component of amplitude of magnetic field along x-axis, plus H naught y j cap, component along y-axis, plus H naught z, component along z-axis. So this is your H naught, right? So when you are representing H in terms of components, instead of H you are going to write H naught into e raised to power I k dot r minus omega t. So instead of H naught, you will write it as H naught x I cap plus H naught y j cap plus H naught z k cap. And this exponential term, here you have k dot r, and we have already mentioned that k dot r in component form, it will be kxx plus kyy plus kzz minus omega t. Now what is the next step? As you can see here, this is I dot product. So I dot I will survive, I dot j and I dot k will be 0, same logic. J dot I will 0 and j dot k will be 0. So what is the conclusion? Only the terms which are having I dot I, those terms will survive. The terms with j dot j will survive. The terms k dot k will survive, and rest of the terms will be 0. So after that, taking that dot product, what you are going to get here? So I dot I, that is 1. Then H naught x is constant, so as it is. Then this partial differential operator, it will be applicable over this exponential, because this exponential is multiplied with each and every term. So you are getting this, the first component will be this, second will be j dot j 1, and H naught y is constant, amplitude of magnetic field along y-axis is constant, so I am taking it outside. And then this operator del upon del y, it will be applicable over this exponential. Similarly, for the z component, you are having H naught z, because k dot k is going to give you 1 and H naught z is constant. Then this partial differential operator, it will be applicable over this exponential. Now the next one, you have to take this derivative. You have to take this derivative and you have to take the derivative of this last term. So you can see here, since you are taking derivative only with respect to x, so the derivative of exponential is exponential, and since you are taking derivative with respect to x, so here you will get ikx into exponential, here you will get iky into exponential, and in this you will get ikz into exponential. So after taking differentiation, what you are going to get here? You are going to get this. This del dot h will be iota kx h naught x plus ky h naught y plus kz e naught z, and every term is containing this exponential also. So that exponential is taken common. Now you know that k, the propagation vector in component form is kx I cap plus ky j cap plus kz k cap. This is your propagation vector. And you also know that h naught in component form is h naught x I cap plus h naught y j cap plus h naught z k cap. This is the value of your amplitude of electric field vector, right? So next one is, if you will take the dot product of these two, what will be k dot h naught? From here, tell me what will be the value of k dot h naught. It will be kx h naught x plus ky h naught y plus kz h naught z. Means the term in the bracket, this entire term, it can be replaced with k dot h naught, right? So what you are going to get now? You are going to get iota as it is k dot h naught. This term in the bracket, now it is k dot h naught into exponential term. So I have replaced this kx x plus ky y plus kz z with this k dot r. So you know what is the value of this. What is this? This entire term, that is your h. So you can write it as I k dot h. So what is the conclusion? The conclusion is divergence of h is now I k dot h. And you know what is divergence of h? From second Maxwell equation, it is 0. So if divergence of h is 0, it means I k dot h is also 0. So you have product of two terms as 0. So there are three possibilities. Either the first term 0 or second term 0 or both the terms 0. But you know the first one is iota, which can never be 0. So we have only one possibility left, that is k dot h should be 0. So if I am saying k dot h 0, it means kh cos theta should be 0. So neither this k, that propagation vector, is not 0, magnetic field vector is not 0. So only the one possibility is there, that cos theta is 0. It means the angle between k and h, that should be 90 degree. Only then you can get this product as a 0. So what you have proved here? You have proved here that in vacuum or in free space, when electromagnetic pulse is propagating, then the angle between E and H, that is 90 degree, and angle between E and K is 90 degree. Now you have proved that the angle between H and K is also 90 degree. Now we have to prove here the third part, that the angle between E and H is also 90, right? So in order to prove that, we can use our third Maxwell equation or fourth Maxwell equation. Whatever you feel like, you can take that equation. I have taken third Maxwell equation. So what is here? Curl of E is minus mu naught del H upon del T. So what I am doing here, I am first taking the left hand side of this particular equation, which is curl of E. You know how to solve cross product of two vectors. So del is a vector differential operator and E is also vector. So if you want to take the cross product of these two, then it will be, this is the x component, y component, z component. X component of this del is del by del x, del upon del y, and the third component is del by del z. Now this E, you know what are the components of this electric field vector. This is the x component, this one is y component, this one is z component. Now you know how to solve this determinant. So first, if you want to solve it, I cap, then hide this and just multiply this one and minus this one. You know how to solve it. So if you will solve it, then after solving, you are getting this. The first will be, when you will solve it, it will be del upon del y of this. You know this is constant. So when you will take the derivative of this particular term, that derivative of exponential will be exponential. But since you are taking derivative with respect to y, so that additional term will be in multiplication I k y. And if you will solve this particular term, E naught y will remain same, and you are taking derivative with respect to z. The additional term will be I k z in multiplication. Means that iota, which is root minus 1, that will be present everywhere. So I am taking that iota as a common factor. So the x component, or you can say I cap component, that is your ky E naught z minus kz E naught y, and exponential is always there with every term. So I have taken that exponential as common here. After that you will solve your second term. You know the first one, then you will take minus sign with z and plus sign with k. But I have generalized on the basis of first term. So this minus, that minus sign I have already taken into account. So if you will solve it, you will get this type of solution. And if you will carefully observe the term which is there in the bracket, then that particular term is basically the cross product of k and E naught. If you want to take the cross product of these two, then what will be the cross product? You have to write the components of k, these are the components. You have to write the components of E naught, so these are the components, and you know how to solve it. The first component will be I cap k by E naught z minus k z E naught y. So that is your first I cap. Then j cap, and you will take this multiplication of this with this and k cap. So finally what you will get? You will get the term in the bracket. It means the term which is there in the bracket, that can be written as k cross E naught. So I have replaced this term in the bracket with k cross E naught, and exponential will remain same. So that is as it is. And you know what is this term? This overall term is your E. So I have replaced it with E. So you are getting finally ik cross E. So del cross E is your ik cross E. What you know? This del cross E is your minus mu naught del h upon del t. And you know the value of h. So that h is basically this, right? So take the derivative of this term with respect to t. This will remain constant. Exponential derivative is exponential, and after that you have to differentiate with respect to t. So you will get minus I omega in multiplication. So finally what you are getting, minus and minus is already there. You are getting I omega minus, I omega mu naught and this term. And you know this term is basically h. So what you are getting now? You are getting ik cross E like this. Ik cross E is equal to I omega mu naught h, right? So I will get cancelled with this. You will get finally k cross E is equal to omega mu naught h. Now you know, in case of cross product, if I am taking cross product of A and B, then the cross product of A and B, that will be a new vector, and that new vector, that C, will be perpendicular to both A as well as B. So if you will use this particular logic, then you have K as a vector, E is also vector. You are taking dot product of K and E, and that will be equal to a new vector. And you know, if you have a vector h, and if you multiply this h with some number, let small n is a number, then the direction of h and that n into h that will be same. It means you can say from here that this h will be perpendicular to k as well as h will be perpendicular to E. You have cross product of k and E, which is equal to a new vector, and you know that new vector will be perpendicular to both k and E. So what is the conclusion? The conclusion is that angle between E and h is also 90 degree. So what you are getting now? It means h is perpendicular. Sorry, give me 1 minute. It means h is perpendicular to both k and E. So it means angle between E and h is also 90 degrees. So that was the only thing which was left, that we have to prove that angle between E and h is also 90. So three conclusions are there. First one, angle between k and E is 90. Second one, angle between k and h is 90. And the third one, angle between E and h is also 90 degree. It means electromagnetic radiations are transverse in nature, in vacuum, in free space. And it is like this. You have three directions, each are mutually perpendicular to each other, x, y and z. If you have electric field along y-axis, then you have magnetic field along this x-axis, and you have direction of propagation along that one, x-axis, and you have magnetic field along z-axis. Along y-axis you have electric field, along z-axis you have magnetic field. It means along x you have direction of propagation. So these three are perpendicular to each other, right? So that was a method through which you can solve or prove the transverse nature of electromagnetic wave in free space. Now in our next lecture, we will write the electromagnetic wave equations in conducting medium, and then we will derive a conclusion that in conducting medium, the electromagnetic pulses, their amplitude will decay exponentially, right? So that we will prove with the help of Maxwell equations in our next lecture. So that's all for today. Thank you so much.